Malaysia's digital journey began more than 2 decades ago when MSC Malaysia was set up to transform the country into a knowledge-based economy. Since then, MSC Malaysia has contributed immensely towards the growth of the nation's digital economy. Our next step is to take the digital transformation from the corridor to the world. Introducing Malaysia Digital, a strategic initiative which will empower the rakyat, businesses and foreign investments. Malaysia Digital will also elevate the participation of Malaysians and local businesses in revolutionizing the world's digital economy. Malaysia Digital opens doors for Malaysians by providing equitable access to digital tools, knowledge and income opportunities. It offers new business opportunities and growth through a supportive digital ecosystem. It also provides flexible and agile investment facilitation to make the country investment friendly. The goal is to drive the digital ecosystem and develop the digital economy to a stage where it contributes at least 25.5% of our GDP and creates 500,000 jobs by 2025.
Malaysia Digital will galvanize public-private partnerships to accelerate the growth of our digital economy and drive positive transformation that ultimately benefit the rakyat, businesses, investors, and also the whole nation.
Establishing Malaysia into a digital nation, one with more adept, stronger and resilient economy, society and governance. Stepping into tomorrow's digital future today.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam perpaduan, salam Malaysia Madani. I'm pleased to share a groundbreaking initiative that is shaping the future of our nation, the National Data Sharing Policy or NDSP. In 2022, the government launched the NDSP, a visionary policy that transcends boundaries, encompassing the public sector, the private sector, and the rakyat. This policy holds the key to fostering a data sharing environment that is not only conducive but transformative. It aims to unleash the true potential of data, improve the quality and transparency of service delivery, stimulate innovation, and drive economic growth through data-driven solutions. The formulation of NDSP envisions a nation where data knows no bounds, where its accessibility and usability are at the core of our digital landscape. By actively engaging in this endeavor, we are laying a strong foundation for the next evolution of our digital ecosystem. We're embarking on a journey to build a stronger and more secure digital foundation for Malaysia. It is the keystone of our digital transformation agenda, empowering us to become a more inclusive, resilient, sustainable, and forward-thinking nation. Embracing responsible and ethical data sharing will unlock significant value for our society and economy, enhancing our competitiveness on the global stage. I encourage all of you to support this policy and explore the vast opportunities that data sharing presents. To raise awareness and gather valuable feedback, we have initiated the NDSP series, a collaborative effort by the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation or MDEC, Malaysia Kini, and Digital News Asia or DNA, with the support of the Ministry of Communications and Digital. This series aims to educate the public about the benefits and challenges of data sharing, while gathering opinions and suggestions to enhance the policy and its implementation. Your active participation in these discussions will be instrumental in shaping the data sharing practices in Malaysia, leading us towards a secure and dynamic digital world. and let us embark on this remarkable journey together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of our national data sharing policy of the country of Malaysia. And today is actually the first, I think when you heard the minister talk, he was talking about this series is targeting the rakyat, which is of course all of you also, government and corporate Malaysia. So this is actually the first of 3 episodes we're going to have on corporate Malaysia, helping to spread the word, create awareness, and like the minister says, right, all of you can also help shape the policy with your questions, your active participation, right, in this process. And we're going to have 3 episodes, like I said, for corporate Malaysia. This is the first one, which is why the topic is so open-ended, right? You can look at it. Data is the new gold mine, is the new eureka, right? Is the new oil. Yes, but the question, but there. So this is the first series just to lay the ground, and we've got 3 incredible speakers who are going to share from having done it, right? Not like your consultants who will read up a bunch of PowerPoints or create a bunch of PowerPoints and try to convince you that they know what to do. So our 3 experts here, okay, I won't use the word expert, they'll be embarrassed, but we've got 3 individuals here. 1 is an entrepreneur and 2 are very deeply experienced corporate executives with regional, right, Asia-Pac experience, and they've done, various data initiatives in the organization. So we're going to hear from them also. What we're going to do is we're going to just start with each of them coming on for 3 minutes maximum to share their viewpoints. And I think when Bernard comes on, he's going to have a poll also, which is where you have a chance to join in and share your thoughts, right? And the poll results will be announced later on. And then after that, we're going to have 1 question I kick it off with. And then we have questions that they've already chosen from those of you who've RSVP'd and you have shared your questions beforehand. And of course, please have your questions coming through as we speak, because the panelists have been encouraged to, and they're looking forward to answering your questions live also, all right? With that now, Bernard Sia's name is there, Bright, the CIO of Manulife. Bernard, the screen is yours for the next 2-3 minutes. By the way, 1 quick factoid about Bernard is that he was the earliest contributor to DNA when we launched back in 2012. So we all owe him a deep thank you and gratitude. Okay, Bernard, the screen is yours. Sorry.
Thank you, Karam. And firstly, thank you to the audience for joining us, Malaysia Kini and AMDAX, who has Digital News Asia, for having this forum. Now, I'll start my story in the depths of the 1997-1998 financial crisis. So that was my first corporate experience, my very first job, you could call it. And me and my buddies were tasked to patch another scary event, which is the year 2000 bug. So it's one application after another application, and we were with a massive multinational bank, which I will not share, and then you don't need to look through LinkedIn because I did not put it there. So, because it was a while back, right? And at the end where I sat, we could see Keadilan supporters getting it on with the FRUs. So that's the hint of locale-wise, where was I? And it was an exciting time. But being in the depths of the financial crisis, you can imagine how cost controls weighed heavily on how IT run, because we were still a cost center. Even today, some of us are still deemed as a cost center, like a burden to the organization versus an enabler or even a value creator. And these were the days as well where whatever you code, you had to print it out so that we need to archive it and document it. And together it became a scenario where my boss would go, "Hey, boys, go take any recycled paper and print on that. Don't you dare go and open up a brand new piece of paper until all the recycled paper is done and dusted, and take it from other departments." I was like, "Oh, okay, we're very young. We'll listen to instruction." Then one day, as I flipped around that piece of paper, I saw reams after reams of customer names, IC number, address, phone number, Yeah, and some of them even have credit card information. So,
wow.
Yeah, the lesson learned here is that while we start with the premise that data is a new currency, anyone who knows how to make use of data can profit from it. At the same time, data can also be abused if you don't know that it's valuable and the extent of how we make use of it. And I'll pause there and pass it back to you, Karamjit, to introduce the next panelist and do complete the poll since it's still there. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, once they're done with the poll, then it'll disappear. Okay, great. So, Bernard, you cue us when you want the poll results to be shared. Okay, so we'll take that when it comes. But meanwhile, let's get Sharala on the screen. And Sharala, for the interesting factoid about Sharala is that she is known also as Malaysia's data science queen, and she was anointed this title by no less than a former CEO of MDEC. And Sharala has got, if there's anyone who's got their finger on the pulse of how Malaysia's analytics and data science adoption by the corporate world is going, that Sharala is square in the middle of that. So Sharala, your opening 3 minutes opening remarks, please.
Hi Karam, hi Bernard and George. Thanks for doing this. I think you and I, Karam, have always talked about GDPR, the PDPA. We even tested out whichever countries we're in. Pretty excited that, you actually got me in and nice introductory. For those who do not know me, you can call me Shah, Karam call me Sharala. I feel like my parents are calling me. I've done right? CEO and founder of CADS. CADS is actually a skills intelligence platform. And if you look at the whole history of why, I started, the whole journey with CADS has always been a personal journey. So, I'm a local girl from Bukit Mertajam, Pulau Pinang, and Karam is from Penang, the island boy. I'm not so island, right? Studied in a local university and left the country. So it's always been about how do I come back and create an economy of opportunity for individuals here. And the fact that we talk about data and AI and all this being a currency, companies have started looking at how, I know these, but I don't have the talent to manage this, right? Perfect timing, wanting to have talents, to have data and AI literacy. And that's what the platform does. And today I hope I can answer a lot of questions on the talent and the AI part, taking over jobs or not, generative AI, sexy topic. Hope to have fun with you boys.
Okay, man. Very good. All right. So talking about you boys now, let's bring on one of our boys, right? Our panelists now. I'll have George. So while I know Sharala and Bernard very well, I don't personally know George yet, but fantastic, because you look at him, right? Look at his title, Chief Data Officer. And, QSR Brands is a very strong consumer brand, one of the strongest in the country. Imagine the amount of data on a daily basis that his organization has access to. So I'm quite excited to hear, how George, sharing about while it's the new currency, right? The butt question. So George, your opening 2-3 minutes comments first.
Thank you very, very much, Karamjit. So my name is George, as Karamjit has introduced me. I'm currently the Chief Data Officer for QSR Brands. Most of you know QSR Brands as KFC and Pizza Hut Malaysia. So in addition to being in Malaysia, we're also in 4 other countries in Southeast Asia. So my remit as Chief Data Officer is to help QSR manage data as a strategic asset, using it for a competitive advantage. Prior to QSR, I was a regional head of digital marketing for Seek Asia, better known as Job Street. And I have a regional role responsible for digital analytics, digital marketing across Seek Asia's businesses in Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia. And before that, I was a consultant. I was in Accenture, Southeast Asia, as a managing director in their sales, marketing, sales, and service practice. And before that, I founded a digital, I was part of a founding team of a digital marketing agency, now known as ADA Asia, which is owned by Axyrd Group, Sumitomo Corporation, and SoftBank Group. And then I spent actually more than 8 years within the Axyrd group, and my earlier role was in Celcom, where I started as a lowly customer analytics kind of manager. But when I left, I was senior vice president for customer management. Yeah, so that's a little bit about my background. So I'm really looking forward to having an interactive session with everyone. Answering both the questions submitted as well as the live questions.
Very good. Thanks a lot, George. So really, wow, as you can tell, those of you who are watching this episode live, there's just an incredible experience and exposure, right, from our three panelists on this topic. So I always start off with one question, which I ask all the panelists, and then they're going to start taking your questions, right? And this is just on the topic itself, right? Data is the new currency, yes. But so going back to Bernard now, what is the but for you, within the corporate context, Bernard?
Yeah, thank you. So the but actually goes for not just data, but just about every single element that requires a change. It requires a different way of thinking in order to elicit value. And that's really in terms of people and Sharala's pet peeve. So I'm not going to steal her thunder so much. So with data, at the end of the day is, for me at a personal level, does the organization has the spirit or the mindset or culture of being very, very curious about their customer. So that's where I come from, because I'm in insurance, and before that I was across a number of industries. And the mindset used to be the right to play, the right to exist as a business is what we offer to the customer. And without data, without understanding our customer, without having that curiosity to want to know, then it's all one-sided. It's all about, why do we create this product? I think we will make a lot of money. I think that it shouldn't be speculative. It shouldn't be because it's a pet project of the most senior person in the room, but truly based on fact find, based on interactions, based on observation. This is our best foot forward in how we can exist and sustain the business and create that value over a long period of time, especially for me as an insurer, because life insurance lasts the entire lifetime of the customer. That's how sustainable the business needs to be. So we have to balance premium that we receive from the customer and the claims that we pay out based on the events. So I'm going to just pause there and pass it over to my fellow panelists.
Okay, very interesting. I've not heard that approach before, where the but is about you have to be very curious about your customer. Interesting. Okay, let's see if that elicits any questions from the audience. But the same question, right? So Sharala, what is the but here for you?
For the longest, right, we've been trying to get companies to think, data is a new currency. But the fact that it is already, it's so famous and it has value, and hence now you see the dark side of it, right? When World Wide Web happened, then you have the dark web, okay? So that means it's popular, it's great, everybody wants to use it. Now the jihad side of it comes out. That's what we're talking about today. And I think what Bernard said, and I have lived in Sweden for so long, about being responsible with anything that's good. The mindset of being responsible, even if it means that I can make money out of it, doing the right thing when someone is not looking is something we all have to start practicing. Responsible, using it ethically is something that I think we say we need to talk about it more. I'm not sure we can teach it, because I think people have to start being, understand the consequences of abusing things when we are not being watched. So this is something that I felt that we have come a long way, and I kind of like that. From Penang, now you put a signal light, people actually stop and let you cross. And before these, people would just speed up, right? And it's nice. People have changed. People have started understanding this. And I believe that I'm a bit more optimistic about this, right? Because it's a new currency, you'll always see the dark side of it. You always see the jihadness of people, but there's more greatness in people wanting to use this. Governance is in place. Now, Malaysia as a country is launching this awareness this is amazing. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that this policy is important. So actually, you just triggered in me. I hope the production team can put the link right to the policy itself. Right now, it's in Bahasa Malaysia. So please put the link to the policy there in the chat so that the audience can download it and have a read, right? So I think that the governance is all already outlined there, but it is just a work in progress, which is why Minister Fahmi says, right, help us to shape it. So if any of you download it and your teams read it and you think there's something missing or something is worded loosely, absolutely, the government wants your feedback, MDEC wants your feedback, right? So this is still an open canvas, right? Please, all of you, play a role to shape it. So thanks a lot, Shah. So now, Sharala, I love calling you Sharala. I didn't know what your parents call you, but it's so natural for me. I was wondering why everyone around you call you Shah. I said, why they're so lazy? Her name is Sharala. So anyway, that aside, Bernard, not Bernard, sorry, George, what is the but for you now? Same question again.
Sure. So I've actually prepared one slide to explain that. I have the production team call it up. That's the consultant bit of me coming up. I promise you it's only going to be one slide. So the but here is that data is a new currency, but what really matters is the quality of the decision making within the organization. So let me explain. Now, most of us, we do an office job, a lot of us at least. So we are not involved in producing things or transporting things or making things. So essentially, we manipulate symbols. And if you think about the essence of what we do, we are actually all decision makers. Yeah, we're all making decisions every day, big or small, on behalf of our companies. So you can think of the organizations that we work for as a very giant decision-making factory, right? Making thousands of decisions, hundreds of people making thousands of decisions every day. So how effectively this organization functions depends on the quality as well as the speed of decision-making. So the faster decisions are made and the higher the quality, then the more efficiently an organization is organized. And really, data is just an ingredient in this whole process. What really matters is the quality of the decision. So what's interesting is that decisions management or decision science is a well-studied area in both psychology as well as in management science. And today, decision science tells us that there are 7 important factors to high-quality organizational decisions. And I've listed them down over here. I won't spend too much time going through it. But I just want to briefly mention that the first 4 that you see here are kind of the stuff that we already know. For example, only involving the people that needs to make the decision in the decision. So when we call a meeting, not too many people, not too few, just the right people that you need. And then have a suitable number of options. Too many options confuses people. And have clear objectives, all right? And do not involve emotions, especially strong emotions in a decision. So I think the first 4 are what research has shown to, that we need to, the factors are important to high quality, decision. Now, the next 3 is where data comes in. So these are classically what is the remit of chief data officers like myself. So the 5th factor is that we need to lower the time and cost of information gathering. Sometimes very poor quality decision comes when organizations have to spend too much time gathering information. And the way to make sure that people have access to high quality information is to institute data governance, right? And the 6th factor is actually to make decisions reversible. What we mean by reversible, meaning that there is no long-term commitment of large amounts of resources that you cannot pull back. And the way to do that is to do experimentation. Right. So if you look at the digitally native companies, right, like, locally we have, Goto and Grab and Food Panda. These digitally native companies have an experimentation culture, right? They make small little bets and they see how it goes before they scale up. Yeah. And then finally, the last factor is to lower what is called the cognitive load of decision making. So decision making is hard work. That's why at the end of the day, you feel very tired. Yeah, very tired. And so the way to make decision making less cognitively burdensome is to automate it. And this is where AI becomes useful. So AI is now being applied to analytics itself and automating the analytics, analytical process to make decision making easier and less cognitively burdensome. Yeah. So that's my thoughts.
Okay, very interesting, man. I mean, there's structure there also, George. So very interesting. Thanks a lot. And it shows the variety of your corporate experience, right? And you need to have structure also when you try to unleash and you want to tap data. Okay, interesting. So let's move on to the questions that all of you have chosen, and I'm going to go back to Bernard again, and he's chosen a question from, I think, Uni Lee, right? She's the CEO of trying to memorize it, is something easy, something easycom, right, Bernard? And her question is about regulatory and legal boundary in sharing the very good solid question there, right? Regulatory and legal boundary in sharing data in order to achieve the real value, right, of this data. So you want to share, because of course I think you're going to be speaking from a highly regulated industry yourself, but actually I'd be interested to hear how George also takes this, because I don't know how tightly consumer businesses, right, in the F&B space, how tightly they are regulated. So, but you want to take this first, Bernard?
Sure. So, first caveat, I'm not a lawyer, but in my past life and current life, where I was an enterprise architect across Asia Pac, I have to deal with approvals and submissions as we engage some of the systems and solutions that needs to be hosted outside of the company. So like it or not, I will have to go through the individual lawyers of every single country and to get a sense of what can or cannot be done. So the context of that question is, how do we work with the regulation versus you seeing them as a stumbling block? So that's how I approach it.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
Okay.
Because visually, mentally, if you can imagine concentric circles, and in the middle of the circle is actually everyone, you and me, right? And the purpose of these laws is to protect all of us, is to protect us, so that our data don't get exploited or used against us, right? So that's the very, very, I would say, number one objective of data protection for every single one of these countries. It doesn't matter who you are. So some are more stringent than others. Then the next circle is the different industries that are being regulated. For example, broadcasting, MCMC, financial services, you have Bank Negara, so on and so forth. There's so many, actually. And each one within their ambit also has data related regulations, what can or cannot be done, or what needs to be done, especially in data protection and retention, right? Then we go another layer, which is at the national level, and it's usually pertaining to whether the data can go out of the country or not, and any overarching punitive arrangements if you do not follow certain prescriptions in the law. So in every law, there's principles and then there's a standard. So if it's a standard, it's something that we just have to follow, unfortunately, right? Just like PDPA, or
PDPA,
within insurance industry, we're regulated by Bank Negara, and within there, there's risk management and IT. And it's very clearly stipulated. Some of them are standards. We just have to follow, right? Retention of logs and things like that. So in working with the regulation, it's very important that we get a view from experts in the field, because sometimes corporate lawyers may not even be exposed to data per se or compliance. We need to get out there and talk to the industry experts and work collectively as a team. For example, in an experience in Korea, when some areas were a bit more restrictive, then the industry come together and counter-propose or work with, let's say, consultancy firms that can share further mitigations on how we can still work together with the regulation in order for data sharing to occur within, mitigations on security, on access rights, on traceability, and all of that. And if you cross that boundary, for example, Google just recently got fined, right? We all heard that news because they apparently misled customers on whether they'll be tracked or not based on the advert cookies or not. So these are rules that we just need to work with rather than say that, it can't be done. So that's why I go back to my initial premise is about the human state. Are you willing to have a discussion? Are we willing to be curious about what is out there and how to work within the confines so that we can have data sharing that can create value, right? Because data, if it stands alone, if it's hidden somewhere, it's practically useless.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So interesting. So you're saying that sometimes when you look at a question like that, people think regulations are just a hassle, right? They get in the way of innovation. But when you're talking about customer data, right, in its various shapes and form, there is, the bar has to be high, right, for you to be able to use the data and cross dissect it, right, and make extrapolations. You have to, there are some accepted regulations already, right, what you can and cannot do, and you just have to follow those, right? We've got our PDPA, and now the National Data Sharing Policy is there, right, taking it to the next level. So like I said, that's why the link is there to download it and to read it and understand and to ask questions, right? So like Bernard, just a quick one. When you say to ask the experts, so like in Malaysia, maybe if Uni had a follow-on, she may say, so who are the experts I should ask, right? So what is an example of the experts here? Because this is still a new field in terms of the usage of data and how you can use it. Can you get an example of it? Maybe obviously easy for your insurance. Who would you go to as an expert in understanding the nuances of the data and how much you can push, the definition of it also?
Well, I wouldn't say we're pushing any boundaries per se, but really having that forum.
Bernard just hedging himself in case Bank
right.
Negara is listening. Oh, okay, very smart.
So, like life insurance, we have Life Insurance Association of Malaysia. So if some regulation is a bit too restrictive, or could be cumbersome in its implementation, where we need time. We just need time. We're not saying that we don't want to do it, but we need time to understand it better, have a conversation to understand where exactly are the risks that we're trying to mitigate. So a good example would be by next year, Income Tax Department of Malaysia has a new law that by June of 2024, every single company that makes more than 100 million ringgit needs to submit their invoice to LHDN department, all invoices.
Wow.
So, yeah. So not that many people know this, but it will hit many companies actually.
That's why digital is a lifesaver lah. Yeah, in a way, right?
True. But we still need to understand the customer journey, how it impacts our flow, right? Of how we do business, how we sell our insurance. Like, does it come after the fact, or is it going to be intercepted in the middle, and we have to wait for LHDN to say yes, you can issue the invoice. So all these are nitty-gritties and devil in the details that can impact the sales process, for example.
No, but Bernard, you know what's interesting? You saying that you work with your industry body. So for those of you who are in industry where maybe there's no industry body, like, F&B is such a huge part of the Malaysian ecosystem, right? Is there like a small restaurants or individual restaurants, association? Because you have a louder voice. Obviously, if it's the association, they takes it up, right, with the relevant body. Not you as an individual, your company going and say, hey, this is not clear, we want to do this. So you have to work through. You have to have a louder voice, right, for if you want to engage with the relevant authorities around how data is used, within your vertical. Okay. So now let me just move on to because we've got lots of questions, and I'll move on to Sharala. So Shah, you've taken a question from Wang, right, the CMO of Manulife. Interesting, from your colleague, I guess, Bernard, right? So
yeah, actually,
sorry again.
Actually, Bernard's question from Manulife.
Oh, you took it first. You chop it first. Okay.
Marilyn. Her name is Marilyn.
Oh, Marilyn. Wow. Okay. So how best can we build knowledge and capabilities? Interesting that you used the word our young workforce, man. So you want to take this, Shah?
Yeah. That's the reason I think I kind of thought it was really important to talk about how companies need to think about, democratizing skills, right, within organizations. The future of work is going to be skill-based and not role-based. HR people hate it when I talk about that, because what they're looking at is skill-based organization in the future, right? So with a young talent, you being an enterprise that's hiring these guys, or you have children, and Karam, we talk about it. it doesn't matter in the future whether you're going to be a finance graduate or an engineering graduate or a law graduate, you need to have data literacy as part of your skill in it. So you cannot expect an IT graduate or a mathematicians all to be centralized in a data science group, because then they become the bottleneck for the organization. So it's related to the fact that you asked how. It's not a question to be debated about. You've got to start doing this. So universities are already embracing. Work with UM, that UTM. It used to be elective. Now it's almost compulsory. Harvard Business School does that. Even with the MBA, it's compulsory to have some kind of data literacy modules in the education. So that's how it's going to be. It's
okay.
An option.
But I think also the question is, because if you have people already in your organization, right, how you build that capabilities with them then, and like you say, most of them will not have. So I think that's what probably she's also asking. If your team, right, the team you're working with, how do you build that data? And maybe it's not just your team, like maybe the whole organization needs to be aware, at least I have level 1.
Yes, it's basically no more upskilling, right? It's reskilling now. It's really giving them a new skill, which is really easily available. We know that there's so many attacks out there. There are free courses, but the challenge always been like exactly what you asked is, where do I start? Oh gosh, do I have to start doing programming? You know what I mean? No, it's not. Today, Microsoft has Python incorporated in Excel. Excel is powerful, right? And to have the mindset to be able to collect data, speak data, data visualization is really important. Even to my finance who gives me the Excel and asks me to figure out whether I'm going to run out of cash in 1 year, right? It's normal. You need to start applying these skills to be able to tell the story, visualize the story, and for leadership team to be able to listen data, right? Bernard kind of started off, or was it George who said, not the highest paid person's opinion matters now. Their expertise matters. The decision has to be made with data. And this is how you encourage and reskill the workforce it's easier to reskill the younger workforce than the older. So I'd say that's a good problem to have.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So I thought you were going to just share a link with the audience also, right? To say here, there's a free assessment by CADS. So you missed the marketing.
Yeah, okay. I was being shy, okay? Yes, you can go to CADS AI, CADS.ai, and you can do a free assessment in the platform and a free journey for any individual that comes in. If I've got a thing that I wanted to share with. Part of the question was, organizations, like some organizations I work with, they have two terms, right? One is sukarela, one is paksarela. Sukarela means you come in and you go like, okay, I'm a marketing guy, where do I begin? And the platform actually helps you to learn. And I think your son has done some of the courses. Paksarela will be someone who goes like, oh gosh, I have to work with AWS now, and I need to get the certification in order for me to have a career growth in that.
Yes.
The platform actually helps guide people to that.
Okay.
Thanks, Karam. I was like, you realize.
No, because I'm sorry, because I know Shah has spent years and years perfecting it, right? So what you see is not something that the Chingchai put together. So that's good. Okay. So let's move on now to George, right? Very interesting question is taken from Bernard Chan, Head of Operations at Evolab, who's asking, is all data useful? And any key to determine what data to collect for the most effective analysis? Great question there, Bernard Chan. George?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Now, the key to unpacking that question is to understand that what you want is an optimized decision, right? The data is just an input into that decision. So from the data, there is some kind of analysis, and then ultimately the generation of options and decisions. So in 1985, there was a professor.
Whoa, sorry, you're taking us back to 1985. Wow.
1985. So in 1985, there was a professor of marketing at Georgetown University named Professor Alan Andreasen, right? So he came up with this concept called backwards market research. And he was trying to answer the question is, what's the right amount of data to collect for market research purposes? So it's analogous to this question of what kind of data do you need to make a decision? So in backwards market research, what Professor Alan Andreasen says is you start with the decisions that you want the research to inform. And then you say, okay, this is the decision I'm trying to make. Do I launch product A, product B, or product C? And then what you do is you go back and say, what kind of analysis do I need to support this decision, to make an informed decision? And then you go back and you say, what kind of data do I need to collect from my market research to inform this, to feed into this analysis? So, so I've stolen his concept, and today in my teams, I teach a concept called backwards analytics, where you start with what kind of decisions do you want to make, and then you go back and say what kind of analytical techniques will support that decision, and then you go back and say what kind of data do I need to source to feed into the analytical models. And so that's a way to narrow down instead of kind of, oh, I want to, you often hear people say, oh, I want to get all the data in my organization one place. Okay.
Yeah.
By the time you do that, it'll be like 10 years will be gone already. And
really?
You'll not be ready to make a single optimized decision. So you don't want to do that. You want to start with a decision and go backwards.
Wow. I know organizations used to take so much time with data lakes, right? Data lake. I know Shao at one time was very busy helping organizations also understand and curate and collect data lakes. So interesting that you're talking about backwards analytics, man. Very interesting. Thanks a lot, George. Really like the new elements you've added for us to understand and read up more on ourselves. Okay, so now going back to Bernard now. Hey, by the way, those of you, if you have your questions coming in live, don't worry. The panelists will be looking at your questions and they will answer them as we go along. So within the ambit of the 1 hour that we have. So Bernard, how to visualize, interesting, the analysis and convey the right message to the customer. So this is by Kor Kwan Eng, right? Finter Technological. Is Bernard there?
Muted. I think he's muted. Bernard's muted.
Yeah, it's starting to rain and there's like thunderstorm behind me.
Oh.
Right. So I was saying that a big part of data science is actually data visualization. You need to be able to articulate, be able to explain, and be able to visually attract attention to what is either a time scale, a magnitude, or a relative comparison. And rather than go very deep into it, I'm just going to share a link. There's 12 great books about data visualization by Tableau. Tableau is one of those data visualization tech providers.
Yep.
And of that 12 books, I kind of read 3 of them before. One of my favorites is Functional Art by Alberto Cairo. And he goes into very explicit details about scenarios and how it should be described. And there's always a story behind it because Alberto Cairo was a reporter. And he reporter went into data visualization, data science. And then there is the Mahaguru of data visualization, Edward Tufte. And he's been writing books about data visualization for decades, right? And he has a classic from 1980s, The Visual Display of Quantitative Information. Sounds very boring, but but you need to have an eye for storytelling, for art, and why it makes sense. And I would warn everyone that it's once you go into this area, it's like taking the red pill from the Matrix, literally.
Oh,
once your eyes are open, you will never be the same again. You will see the world and you realize that, hey, why are you using a pie chart when you could have used a histogram for this? Why is this data being showed this way? And you begin to want to fix how data is being told, how stories shared in a much, much more succinct and impactful way in the front. So maybe I can share it in the chat or share it in the forum.
Yeah,
the
that'd
bonus
be great for the audience.
To George's point about decision-making, my favorite book there is Douglas Hubbard's How to Measure Everything. And then he takes an economic view as well, and also a decision view, which is why you collect data. In fact, one of my earliest articles I wrote for Digital News Asia is about decision-making why you collect data is just purely for decision making. Otherwise, it's just for fun, really. And there's no time in the world for fun.
No, the chart, the one chart that George shared also, right? Say organizations are basically decision-making factories. Very interesting, man. Okay.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
So, you know, for the audience, I'm struck, like, imagine Bernard now, right, with the responsibility he has, you know, which is like probably eating up 6 full days of his week. Yet he takes the time to read these books, right, to help him then do his job better. So I think, like Shah said, you got to be constant learners and readers and knowledge seekers in this space. Excellent. Okay. Let's move on now.
Can I sample a bit about the because I love that data storytelling, data visualization. Another person you need to check out is Hans Rosling. I'll put in the chat group. He does. He's passed on. He's Swedish, but he used to do all this in BBC. Literally trying to, you know, data storytell with pumpkins and, you know, things around you and how done. It's because it's very light, and I think it resonates. Like I understood data storytelling when I saw him in BBC, and I got his book called Factfulness, and it's a feel-good book to read too. So sorry, Bennett, not taking the heavy thunder away. I'm a bit of a light person, so.
No, good, because you guys are so deep in this space, right? I mean, the audience wants to learn from you, so that's great. Yeah, fantastic. So interesting that you mentioned pumpkin, right? It's where I'm at. It's coming up to Halloween season. So at the store earlier, there were just hundreds of pumpkins, man, lined up outside. Okay, but that aside, a very good question now, Shah, for you, right? So, and this is from Saravanan, who's from ChangePoint Technologies, and how AI helps data analysis and he wants to know about Malaysian companies that have AI. So it's a very broad question, but you've chosen to take it on. So can you share with us? Because by the way, this is the part that I hate, right? As you're enjoying the conversation, I got to do a time check, and it scares me that we've got 12 minutes left to go, but really 10 minutes of conversation left. So please, if you haven't asked a question, do ask. And gentlemen and ladies, please look to answer some of the questions that the audience has shared also. Take this for sure.
So I love this question. There's 2 prompts to this, right? The reason I took it is it's all about generative AI, and people are going like, you know, am I going to lose the jobs? And a lot of questions there. It's all related. So it's one that can answer a lot of it. But what I really love is last week, there was a research paper that was published called Navigating the Jagged Technological Frontier by Karim Lakhani from Harvard Business School. George knows him too, along with few other MIT professors on a BCG 758 consultants. So they actually, the whole, research was done of the effects of AI on knowledge workers, on productivity and quality, right? So as we all are afraid that our jobs will go away today or tomorrow, which everybody thinks that's what AI is going to do, Karim personally told me that this is, you know, in his whole career of being a Harvard professor, this is the most significant research he's done, and I love it.
Wow.
Yes, and I'll share that with you, and I think I've written a summary on that, and we can actually put it out, because the outcome is amazing, because what they found out is, so they use the free ChatGPT, paid ChatGPT, Bing, you know, they've kind of done all that, what research people will do. But the outcome literally shows that people, finished like 12% faster, more of their task, faster by 25%. But what kind of made me realize, because this is an argument that me and my daughter has, she thinks, generative AI should be banned in school. And
interesting.
Yeah. She's the old soul in the family, and you really need to work on her. But I'm the one who thinks that this is going to liberate all of us, right? This is where mathematicians kind of picketed when calculator came out, and they saw, maths to be doomed. But look at what it opened up for us. And what was interesting, the research that I took away finally is, if you're really good in your job, it improved 17% of your work. But if you were not great at your job, it improved 46% of that individual. So you kind of understand that the productivity and it brings out. And that's what I'm excited about. It's not about replacing, it's about really getting quality in everything, right? And the one dark part of it, I mean, it's all great and fantastic.
Yeah.
And that requires hard and difficult tasks. That's where the AI kind of, lets you down, which is fine, because I went to university for 3 to 5 years so that I can use my brain for the harder stuff, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like that. And we also know, like, I think AWS released this data saying 16% of organizations out there are thinking of barring ChatGPT and generative AI in their companies, which I think it should go away, because it's here to stay, right? We talked about AI, we talked about Industry 4.0. I always say generative AI is the baby of a AI product that mass people are using. So I think that's the first part. Companies that's using it, loads of them, right? Financial services are, they have set up a CEO of AI. They have set up, how do you, some companies are working with us to start rolling out responsible AI certification from top management to their employees, because you need to get that right so they know what data to use and what they shouldn't. And oil and gas are using it. So a lot of companies have already, hence that's why there's a but in the currency now, right? There's an issue with overusing this information.
Okay, very good. So excellent. Thanks, sir. That's really interesting answer. Now, we're running out of time, and I just want to go to George now for his only second question, right? And then while we're talking, if the two of you, Bernard and Sharala, you want to pick a question that the audience has asked, do that. So George, right? So this is a good question. Again, a superb question from Nakia Noor, Head Strategy and Operations at Sina Karakraft Media Company. So how do I make sure that we attract and hire the right data specialists, and what are the relevant qualifications and traits?
Yeah, so there are now, it's now increasingly easier to hire data specialists, because institutions of higher learning have begun to come up with specialized courses actually in data science, data analytics, data management. So you could right now just hire straight off, university fresh graduates, masters in data science. So that's fine. But then I would put not to put too much emphasis on formal qualifications, because actually a lot of the skills that is needed to do data analysis can be learned on the job. What is not really teachable is critical thinking skills, a careful eye for detail and attention to detail, that sort of thing, which are needed to work through data quality issues and things like that. These kind of attitudinal orientation is very hard to teach. There's some people just more careless and lack attention to details, despite the fact of having an analytical degree. So I would say look for people with personalities and mindsets that have this strong analytical bent and attention to details. So in the firms that I used to work for, some of the best data scientists, who actually do data analysis, they come from backgrounds like accounting, architecture, things like that. Not all of them are trained in actually AI.
Yeah. Or they are not all of them are quants, right? Or actuarialists. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So that kind of you got to try to hire people with that. But she's also asked about the relevant qualifications, huh? But you already answered that. So you don't really need like a formal qualification. And also, look, you can go to Code Academy, and you can go to I don't know about Khan Academy. I haven't been there for a long time, but LinkedIn, right? So many courses are available. Your Coursera, of course. So there are a lot of things you can find some certain courses and make your people go through that also, and see who's got the most interest and aptitude, right? They enjoyed it. And
actually, a lot of hiring managers discover that people with certifications, they can't really execute projects. And that's because actually
are you serious? Wow.
Yeah, the best way to learn is actually through projects, actually, not really taking these online certifications. They get you someplace. I'm not saying that they're not useful.
Understood.
But they get you someplace. But actually, the best way to learn is actually to work on real life projects.
So, but to pick up on a point you made, that you made earlier, like the digital companies like GoTo or Grab, right? They've got this nature to be experimental and try things, right? So you're saying even your traditional companies also, with this mindset, they got to be willing to try and do small experiments, right? Where maybe you don't need such a huge data set, right?
Yes.
And get their people, get their feet wet and get dirty in it also, right? Where you roll up your sleeves.
Yes,
wow.
That's correct. And there are a lot of companies that are doing that already. So in the insurance industry, for example, ING is famous for absorbing a very experimental design thinking type approach to to product development. DBS Bank in banking has absorbed that in their ways of working. So even big companies, big traditional companies, they can change.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, great. Look, we're running out of time. So does anyone I told Bernard and Sharala, do you want to answer any of the questions the audience has? Otherwise, George has picked a question for him to answer, so I can give that to him then.
Yeah, maybe I can take a question from the audience.
Yeah, so I think there are like 7, if I'm looking at the chat, there are like 7 questions, or no, 5 questions in the Q&A. So
so
there's some.
I'm just going to quickly pick one on the. Actually, the question on generative AI disappeared.
Oh, maybe the person took it. Maybe it's answered when Shah was talking. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I just go ahead, Bernard. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can click on the answered tab, and then the question was whether the data analyst job will disappear with AI, and my straight answer is not now, but maybe in 20 to 30 years, because I've been too optimistic with past technologies 30 years ago when I declared that 30 years from now, everybody will be going paperless. Lo and behold, 30 years has passed. We're still having paper everywhere.
You're right. Interesting. Hey, by the way, I know Jason Shong, right? So he's also in a very, very interesting startup, working around data and microservice. So I think there's a question there. Just quick, what kind of pilot case that Manulife and or QSR are willing to participate to get started on a wider data journey? But I'm willing to bet that that ship has already left port, right? Because you guys are beyond that already. So maybe I add to that, for both QSR and Manulife, if there are 5 levels, right, to adopting data, your data journey, where would the 2 of you think your organization are at? Are you still at step 1, which is the pilot stage, or you're at step 2 or 2.5 or step 3 for both of you?
Bernard, maybe you can take this first.
Well, insurance is all about data, everything from pricing, actuaries, understanding customer wants. So we're quite out there in terms of even having a workflow that drives all the data to the machine learning needed for predictive analytics. So we've done quite a fair bit right now.
Okay. George?
Yeah, so on a scale of 1 to 10, I think prior to COVID, on a scale of 1 to 5, prior to COVID, I would say QSR would be at level 3. But
level 3.
COVID has rapidly accelerated the need to digitize the business. So now about a third of our business actually comes from digital channels, and this comes with it a flood of interesting consumer behavior data, which we now are managing actively so we can serve our customers better.
Yeah, 33%, and right. COVID is the world's most effective CTO, CIO. Okay, interesting. So maybe just a quick last question before I ask you all to do your key takeaways for the audience. And actually, somebody asked this a follow-up to Sharala, right? And this is an interesting question about your comment about the young workforce. Then it's asking, does this mean that it's difficult to change the older workforce to focus on digital method? Because obviously they're the one with the most knowledge of either the organization or the industry they're in.
So this is a fact, right? We work with one of the largest banks that has tens of thousands of, branch workers that they cannot, with the digital banking, with the COVID, now they know they cannot keep holding on to them, giving them the job with, 9 to 10 unions on top of that.
Wow.
But it's not, exactly, right? But then what is really amazing is these guys have the domain experts, right? So in the absence of, trying to look outside, and then people with the domain expertise that, you cannot hold on to, this is where these banks are actually reskilling these people to fill up the amount of jobs vacancies they have. They cannot they cannot fulfill. But having said that, I also mentioned that to that person that not all of us we cannot bring all of them along this journey of Industry 4.0, where it's going to be a level of people will not be able to make it. And I think since this is all about the policy, I am a huge fan to look at universal base salary, especially in this part of the world, where not everyone is going to make the journey and going to get the income we're looking at. So I think
UBI, universal base income. Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. To have, because with all this amazing, increase in productivity and revenue, why not we give some money on the tax for people who can't join us and have a base salary that they can survive on?
That's the Swede in you, man. You're spending too many of your summers in Sweden. Okay, but just a quick one. We got to wrap up now. But let's show the poll results from Bernard, and then I got to make a public service announcement also. Okay, Bernard, that's your answer there. Do you want to give a quick comment about your takeaway from this poll, Bernard?
Yeah, thank you so much for everyone that has answered, and it's fairly consistent in the markets where I've done this poll before, and it goes back to my pet peeve, which is illustrating and visualizing insurance protection. So the life insurer that can break this and not fall to the restrictions and rigor of legalities and terminologies and really simplify how you visualize protection will win the game. So thank you so much for being honest about whether you buy digital insurance online.
Oh, cool, man. Great. Okay. Hey, folks, thanks so much for your questions. And gentlemen, panelists, thanks for answering so many of the questions already. I'm just going to end with a public service announcement. And by the way, you can still have your questions coming in because while the closing videos are playing, the panelists will also be endeavoring to answer your questions, right? And the public service announcement is that you've seen the link there now. MDEC is offering a complimentary, online assessment tool to help you identify your organization's data and analytical readiness, AI also. And you're actually going to receive a personalized report once you complete the assessment, and it will help unveil how you can bring your organization to the next level of growth. So please do take that survey. I highly encourage it, right? And of course, there's also this SME data-driven playbook for you to scan and download. So lots of things take away for you from this session. Lots of books you can read, right? And a professor, right, from 1985, who started the journey of marketing and how they can use data also. I want to thank the three panelists for your sharing, and thank you to the audience for staying to the very end, right? And thank you so much for the privilege of your time. We're going to end this now, but please look out for episode 5 and up to episode 9 that is coming on also. And there's a special episode we're going to have with the Minister Fahmi himself also. He got so excited that he said, hey, I want to have one session also. I want to be in the thick of things, right? I'd like to have one session with the audience. So look forward to that also, right? Look out for that data you can see that on Malaysia Kini and DNA. But we'll now end with our closing few videos. And again, thank you everyone. And please be part of the journey to shape our national data sharing policy. 3 panelists, thank you very much. And we'll have to tarik soon.
Thank you, Karam. Thank you, Bernard and George.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Not at all.
Bye-bye.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam perpaduan, salam Malaysia Madani. I'm pleased to share a groundbreaking initiative that is shaping the future of our nation, the National Data Sharing Policy, or NDSP. In 2022, the government launched the NDSP, a visionary policy that transcends boundaries, encompassing the public sector, the private sector, and the rakyat. This policy holds the key to fostering a data sharing environment that is not only conducive, but transformative. It aims to unleash the true potential of data, improve the quality and transparency of service delivery, stimulate innovation, and drive economic growth through data-driven solutions. The formulation of NDSP envisions a nation where data knows no bounds, where its accessibility and usability are at the core of our digital landscape. By actively engaging in this endeavor, we are laying a strong foundation for the next evolution of our digital ecosystem. We're embarking on a journey to build a stronger and more secure digital foundation for Malaysia. It is the keystone of our digital transformation agenda, empowering us to become a more inclusive, resilient, sustainable, and forward-thinking nation. Embracing responsible and ethical data sharing will unlock significant value for our society and economy, enhancing our competitiveness on the global stage. I encourage all of you to support this policy and explore the vast opportunities that data sharing presents. To raise awareness and gather valuable feedback, we have initiated the NDSP series, a collaborative effort by the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, or MDEC, Malaysia Kini, and Digital News Asia, or DNA, with the support of the Ministry of Communications and Digital. This series aims to educate the public about the benefits and challenges of data sharing, while gathering opinions and suggestions to enhance the policy and its implementation. Your active participation in these discussions will be instrumental in shaping the data sharing practices in Malaysia, leading us towards a secure and dynamic digital world. And let us embark on this remarkable journey together.
Malaysia's digital journey began more than 2 decades ago when MSC Malaysia was set up to transform the country into a knowledge-based economy. Since then, MSC Malaysia has contributed immensely towards the growth of the nation's digital economy. Our next step is to take the digital transformation from the corridor to the world. Introducing Malaysia Digital, a strategic initiative which will empower the rakyat, businesses and foreign investments. Malaysia Digital will also elevate the participation of Malaysians and local businesses in revolutionizing the world's digital economy. Malaysia Digital opens doors for Malaysians by providing equitable access to digital tools, knowledge and income opportunities. It offers new business opportunities and growth through a supportive digital ecosystem. It also provides flexible and agile investment facilitation to make the country investment friendly. The goal is to drive the digital ecosystem and develop the digital economy to a stage where it contributes at least 25.5% of our GDP and creates 500,000 jobs by 2025.
Malaysia Digital will galvanize public-private partnerships to accelerate the growth of our digital economy and drive positive transformation that ultimately benefit the rakyat, businesses, investors, and also the whole nation.
Establishing Malaysia into a digital nation, one with more adept, stronger and resilient economy, society, and governance. Stepping into tomorrow's digital future today.